Welcome to Coach's Corner, everybody. As you can see, we're having some technical difficulties. Got to get my opening now, and then I'll introduce Greggy. Oh my gosh, welcome to Coach's Corner. We got Greg Litton. I'm your host, Paul Tripoli, along with my buddy, Coach Mark Hobley.
Peace.
Greggy Litton, former Major League Baseball player, had a great 60th birthday party last Friday, Greg. How did you not find out? Were you really surprised? Did it not leak?
Nah, I honestly, and my daughters were laughing because they're like, well, you wouldn't tell us if you did know. And I said, you're right, I wouldn't. But I honestly, I did not even have a clue. It was awesome. I told everybody when I came around the corner, everybody yelled surprise. I thought we ruined somebody else's party because they're obviously, waiting on somebody else, And then I started looking around the room. I'm like, wait a minute. And I'm like, I know some of these guys. And then I'm like, no, I know everybody. And yeah. So
wow.
Hey, ex-jock, I'm a little slow.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. What a great story. Steve King. I want to give a shout out to Melissa and Steve King for hosting the party, man. What a great job those guys did.
Yeah, they as I got there and walked around the room, what was going through my head was, how in the world? And I tell everybody this, Coach, I've been blessed. God has blessed me with more friends than any man deserves. And I was walking around that room trying to say hi to everybody when I first got there. And it's going through my head. I'm like, how in my daughters, nobody knows all these different friends of mine. Because I like I said, just blessed with so many different groups of friends from different places, and so it was awesome, and they did a heck of a job.
Yeah, they really did, man. And I met some great people there, and I met Dan Odger's widow, Lauren. What an amazing lady she is. But I want to honor Dan for he passed away. Your friend, I guess, growing up, passed away with cancer in January. Talk a little bit. What a great hitter. He remembers him in Milton being a great. Tell me what a great hitter Dan was.
Well, I tell you, the thing about Dan is he was just a great athlete. I mean, he was. I mean, dude could grab you and just rip your arm off and beat you with it if he wanted to. He's just man strong. And but he could run, he could throw, he could hit. He was just an all-around athlete. And I knew Dan when we were young, but we weren't friends until years. We started playing golf probably 25 years ago after I was done playing ball. And became really good buddies golfing, and just great guy. I know we've all lost people to cancer, but gone too soon, but a great guy.
Man, Steve King. All right, we're gonna Dusty. All right, who set up the Dusty Baker? Now, folks, Dusty Baker called in the Zoom call and was on the screen to wish you happy birthday. He and his wife. Was that a surprise too? And how was it great talking to Dusty?
Oh yeah, it's one of those things that we're guys. We get lazy. We don't call people that we should as much. But Dusty was my hitting instructor for 4 years in San Francisco, and I couldn't say enough good things about him. I know I've been on your show and we've talked about him, but just a great guy. And that was a big surprise. He and Melissa, his wife, were always just real close with me. Yeah. And that was another one. I didn't have any idea because, Dusty's a big dog. You don't.
Yes.
You generally don't just find his number, and
Nope.
and the fact it was actually, me and Steve King and another guy. Yeah, you may have met him at the party, but his name's Tim Sossman. He flew in from Charleston. Well, the three of us, we've been best friends since we were 15 years old, 14, 15 years old. And Tim actually was the one that found it. I'm not going to say how, because the guy that got it for him told him, don't you dare tell anybody, because
how you got it. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but yeah, the funny thing is my dad used to give my number out when I was in San Francisco to people. And I'd get these calls from, like I barely knew some of these people. And I told my dad, I said, Pops, and I said, after the last time I had to call him. And I said, look, Pops, I'm a nice guy. I'm nice to everybody. But don't give my phone number to people. I said, if you don't know that I know them, then don't give it out. And I said, if you do it again, I'm going to have to get another number and you ain't going to have it.
Oh, wow.
And when I threatened him with that, he finally quit giving it out. Yeah. I'd get phone calls from relatives I've never met, never seen, and they would get mad because I wouldn't go out to dinner with them, during the season. And it was it was funny, but Dusty Cullen was, I texted him later, a couple days later, and just told him how much that meant to me.
Wow. Hobbs?
Hey, you mentioned Tim Sossman there. Tim and I were teammates at PJC at the time. And Tim was an excellent ball player as well. We talked a little bit about Dan Odgers. How does your brother Brenton compare to Dan Odgers? Your brother, people need to know that your brother was one heck of an athlete as well. And we broke in at PJC the same time. And Greg, people don't believe this. You were smaller than me.
Your older brother, right? Your older brother beat on you a little bit.
Well, Greg was smaller than me, and his brother. He talks about what Dan Odgers could do. He had an older brother that was a horse and a half. He could do all those things he said Dan could do.
He really could, but he didn't beat on me much after about 14 because Brent's about Hobbs' size now, so I outgrew him there, but
he sure did.
But I'll tell you, just like I described Dan, the only thing I'd say that Brent wasn't like Dan. Dan was just had that strength. He was just so strong. Like we play golf, and man, that son of a gun just pounded a mile. Still, a year ago, he's fighting cancer and he's still hitting it. And, but my brother was a great athlete.
Yes.
Left-handed pitcher, had a big curveball, great changeup, threw pretty hard for back then.
Yes, sir.
He played center field, switch hitter, lead off.
Yes.
He just basically played first base too. He just did it all. And, I almost think to some degree, because Dan played minor league baseball for about 3.5, 4 years, somewhere in there. But my brother, I think the same thing is the guys that are so talented like that. Well, first, once you start getting into pro ball, your talent level isn't so much higher than everybody else's.
Wow.
Unless you're a Darryl Strawberry or Ken Griffey or, A-Rod.
Right.
But, the guys like that are really talented, the talent kind of evens out once you get into pro ball and the higher you get up, especially. But I think for me, I'm still blessed that I didn't have that much talent.
Yes.
Because I had to work my butt off.
Yes.
and I had to keep every level. I had to bust my butt to try and keep up and to, you know, be able to compete.
Right.
And you know, sometimes the guys with the most talent, you know, it's like I tell everybody, I was always mediocre speed. And I ran, I lifted. I mean, I had to learn how to run the bases, just everything.
Right.
Now, would I have worked that hard if I didn't have to? Well, I'd like to think I would have still worked very hard. But I got to be honest, I don't think I would have worked as psychotically hard as I did.
Psychotically. Yeah, I get it. I mean, that's what I wanted to bring that up. The people don't understand you were a little guy. It says you're 6 foot, 175 pounds. I remember when you were no foot and a $105, and you just worked your tail to the major leagues, and people need to recognize that.
Well, thank you. My senior year, I was about this. I've been 6 foot since probably my 11th grade year in high school. But going into my senior year, I mean, I was 6 foot, I think 155 pounds. I mean, that's nothing. And I still remember I started lifting weights that year, and I got up to 165. My freshman year at PJC, all summer and all fall. And by spring, I got up to about 175. And then by my sophomore year, I was up to 185.
Wow.
And then I played most of my professional career from about 185 to 192.
Wow. Wow. What a transformation.
Yes,
I'm telling you, folks, we're talking with Greg Litton, former San Francisco Giant baseball player, also Woodham High School. Gosh, this era, we're gonna start talking about the guys. Jim Presley. Oh my gosh, Mark Whitten, Greg Litton, Jay Bell, Travis Fryman, Phil Hyatt. Was that Presley?
That was Presley.
Let's talk about Presley for a sec. 8 years, an all-star in '86, 8 years in the major league. He was a great player. 1990, he batted .242 and 19 home runs and 34 doubles. He hit over 100 home runs in 6 years with the Mariners, and he became only the second player in Major League Baseball to hit 2 walk-off grand slams in the same season. Talk about Jim Presley.
Oh, I love Jimmy. Jimmy, you know, Jimmy's one of those. He wasn't that much older than me. I think Jimmy was 3 years ahead of me. I think he graduated in '79, the same year.
Yes, he was 79. Me, your brother, and Jimmy came out the same year.
Yeah, and so when I still remember when I was playing rookie ball in '84, and we were playing in Everett, Washington, which is about 45 miles north of Seattle. We actually played the Mariners rookie ball team in the Kingdom. And funny story. So, you know, I got to see Jimmy, and he took me over in the locker room, you know, gave me some bat and gloves and stuff. So that was really nice. But we played a game right before Seattle played Detroit. Well, Detroit that year, if you remember, they won it all. And you want to be humbled? My little butt at 6 foot 185 at the time, we're in the dugout halfway through the game. Well, here come all these Detroit Tiger players walking out, checking out the game, saying hi to us during the game. Well, you got Larry Parrish.
Yes.
You got Kurt Gibson. You got, I'm going to forget half of them, but Darrell Evans. There's about 6.
Was Sweet Lou Whitaker on that team?
Yeah.
Sweet Lou Whitaker.
Now he wasn't very big though, but these guys, all those guys.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the
big guys. Yeah.
They're all like 6'5", 6'6", and I'm like, holy cow, I'm a shrimp. And I'm like, man. And then that night we stayed for their game, and Jack Morris pitched. And dude's going 97 with a nasty, struck out like 19 guys or whatever. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm not as close as I thought I was. But that was a lot of fun. But Jimmy always looked out for us when I was in the minor leagues. We used to have this, me, Tim Sossman, and Steve King. We used to put on this baseball clinic every winter to make a few dollars so we didn't have to work the last couple months so we could practice. And we always did it the like 4 days in between Christmas and New Year's. And oh man, you talk about camp. Now we were all in the minor leagues, but it was me, Tim Sossman, Steve King, but we had Travis Fryman, Jay Bell, Mark Whitten, Phil Hyatt. And what we did is I always said, Jimmy, look, if you just stop by for 30 minutes, say a couple of words and sign a few autographs, we can put your name on the flyer so we can try and get more people to come. So, and Jimmy was, oh, that's no problem. And every year he came out, would spend a couple hours one day with us. And it was always a big help to us. But yeah, awesome. Jimmy's a great guy. I always loved him.
Awesome, man. Greggy, there has not been a group from this area since then. Exactly. Right? Jay Bell and Travis Fryman and Mark Whitten, right? Who tied in Major League Baseball record with 4 home runs in one game on September 7th, 1993 against the Reds. And he also tied the Major League Baseball for RBIs that day with 12.
Well, yeah. Well, Coach, you want to hear a funny story about Mark Whitten? I was in San Francisco his rookie year in Toronto. And I think that was, 91 or 2. And I remember talking to Dusty because I played in the outfield. You know, I played left and right and everything and had a real good arm. It's a funny story with Dusty too. The first year I was playing, Kevin Bass got hurt. So they stuck me out there. I played right field for a month against lefties. And first 3 games or something, I've got about 3 outfield assists, guys trying to, score on me, thinking a little second baseman out in right field. And I hosed them, right? Because I that's one thing I really had above average. I had a hose. Yeah. And I remember popping off to Dusty. And I go, shoot, I said, Dusty, I'm going to lead the league in outfield assists playing part-time. and Dusty looks at me because he all right, just young and dumb, but he looks at me, he goes, no, you ain't lit. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like 1 behind already, and I've played like 6 games. He goes, look, dummy, look at that list. And so we start looking at that list. He goes, now how many guys on that list have a cannon? And I started looking. I'd never looked at the list before. And I'm like, well, there's really not any. And he goes, exactly, dummy. He goes, as soon as it gets around the league that you're not just some second baseman out there, that you got a strong arm, they're going to quit running on you. I didn't get another outfield assist the rest of the year. I don't think I got 3 more the rest of my career. But the funny thing though is I told Dusty when that year or 2 later when Mark got called up, I said, Big, this is one of my boys from Pensacola, because Mark and I used to work out for 2 months every day. And that son of a gun was a hard worker. And I said, you just give him time to make 3 throws from the outfield. I said, they're going to be comparing everybody else's arm to his. And Dusty goes, oh, Dusty's funny. He's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. He ain't got that strong an arm, whatever. About a week later, Bate goes, all right, you might be right. He's got a cannon. He hosed a couple people, and now look, I had a strong arm. That dang Mark had a freaking bazooka.
Did he really?
Yes, he did.
Hey, oh my gosh, he was a switch hitter too.
Yes.
Where have all the switch hitters gone, Greg?
Yeah, I don't. I don't even watch baseball that much, Coach. It's so. Now I got my daughter's dog. Hold on, I'm gonna keep this on me. But yeah, I don't watch much, Coach, because they don't. All right, Matt, get out there. Sorry about that. But the baseball now has gotten to be. I mean, did either of y'all watch any of the All-Star game the other night?
Nope, I didn't.
A little bit.
Greg, I didn't even know it was on.
A little bit.
Well, I didn't either, Mark, and I ended up seeing something, so I flipped it over there. I watched about 2 outs, and I was just so disgusted. It's like a glorified softball game now.
Exactly.
And it's just so disappointing that the players don't take that game serious. We used to have a lot of pride. Even I didn't play on.
Yes,
I watched everyone, and I guarantee you, everybody in the National League wanted us to beat the American League. But even during the season, I don't like miking up players during a game. I mean, I don't like it.
What do you think about the shift, Greg? Do you think they ought to outlaw the shift? I mean, I wouldn't care if you put 9 people on first base. I wouldn't care. You hit it where they're not.
Exactly. Well, that's what we did. You got to,
yes.
And all they want to tell us, and every day, these guys, I hate to say it, these guys do not know how to play the game anymore. They don't grow up playing the game like we did. They don't even know little things like you don't make the first or third out at third base. You hit a ball in the gap. You don't, if there's no outs, you don't go to third or even attempt it unless you know you got it. Same thing with 2 outs. But they don't know these things. And like the shift, I mean, how embarrassing. Major League Baseball had to outlaw it because the hitters couldn't adjust to beat it. I mean, and you're going to tell me they're bigger, better, faster,
I know,
stronger, and
right.
And they can't beat a little shift. I mean, they wouldn't even. But what's frustrating is they can be down by 4 runs in the 9th inning, and they put a shift on the leadoff guy, and he doesn't even try and beat it. It's not that they. I mean, it's just frustrating. And what I tell people, and these are some of the things, and I'll tell you part of the problem too, is Major League Baseball has run off so many guys like Dusty Baker, these old school guys that know more in their little pinky than any of these young punks know about the game.
Right.
But they're running off those people with all these analytic youngsters. And it's like, look, we had analytics when we played. We didn't just live and die by it because sometimes you got to adjust. But my very first game in the big leagues, we were down by 1 run in the 8th inning against Greg Maddux. Will Clark's leading off. All right. Now, Will is, I mean, he's got power. He's our 3-hole hitter. They put a mini shift, not like today's shift, but they shifted where the third baseman was like 30 feet off the line. Well, Will just pushed a bunt and literally jogged to first base. and Maddux is on the mound yelling at him to swing the bat. And we have an old saying in baseball, don't forget about the hitter. Well, the next hitter was Kevin Mitchell. He hung a slider. This is my first game. He hits it about me to wherever you guys are, right? I mean, just hits a bomb. Well, we go up by 1. Our guy comes in. I don't remember who our closer was. And we shut him down in the 9th there, because we were at home. And we win the game because but nowadays, down by 4 runs in the 9th inning, they won't even try to get a rally. And what they don't understand anymore, it's like I tell people, I go, if you're down by 4 runs in the 9th inning, the other team would rather you hit a solo home run than to hit a little bloop single and get on base.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
They would, because a home run in that position is a rally killer. You're not going to hit 4 solo home runs very often, if ever.
Wow.
But you're going to score 4 runs with 2 or 3 hits and then a home run.
Greggy, I agree with you. I was actually on the Wednesday night show this week, 4-Wheel Drive on Coach's Corner with Bill Pendock. We were talking about the lack of fundamentals and technique teaching the younger guys, and it's obviously floated up to the top. You know, these young coaches want to put all these bells and whistles in, and the kids, they're losing sight of simple mechanics. Not paralysis by analysis. Don't give them too many swing thoughts like golf. Probably the swing in baseball is the same way. And they're not doing the basics, the fundamentals. They're getting away from it, and it's really hurting the game. I see it in football. I see stuff that college teams and pro teams that I would never allow my high school kids to get away with.
Yeah. Well, you know, and especially in baseball, and you guys remember me and Dan Shugart used to call the Wahoos games for about 4 or 5 years, and oh my goodness, I had to tell Dan, I go, listen, you have permission. If I'm being too negative, you got to let me know. But it's and a couple of times Dan would be like, you're getting close, you know, and I'm like, good, because, you know, I don't want to be that guy, but it was just simple stuff that, I mean, I and Mark will know this. I watched one game at the Wahoos in the 8th inning. The Wahoos up by 1 run, 8th inning, 2 outs, and our center fielder is on third base. All right. Now, he's not the normal center fielder, but he's one of the backup outfielders that's fast enough, obviously, to play center. He's on third base. That run to go up by 2 is huge in the 8th inning. All right. That run, you're basically wanting to do anything you can to try and get that guy across.
Right.
And I'm sitting there watching after the first pitch to the hitter after he got on third with 2 outs. And I'm just shaking my head, not saying anything. And Dan looks at me and kind of, you know, gives me the hand like, what? And I said, Dan, I'm just sitting here just kind of dumbfounded. I said, 8th inning, we're up by 1 run, 2 outs, runner on third base. I said, that run is huge. And I said, this guy can run. I said, look at the size of his lead on this next pitch. I promise you, it was not more than 6 actual feet, not steps, 6 feet off the bag. The third baseman is playing 20 to 30 feet off the bag. And Mark, if I asked Mark, he'd probably tell you, well, you basically get as much as the third baseman.
Exactly.
Right?
You get off as far as he is.
Exact. Now, if he's 30 feet, you may not. That's a third way down the line. You may not get quite that far, but you get way off, and then once the pitch is thrown, you can get a little bit more, even if you're 20 feet off the bag.
Right.
This guy is 5 to 6 actual feet off the bag.
Oh my God.
And when the pitcher would throw home, he would take one little hop about an additional 3 feet. And when the ball crossed home plate, he would run back to the bag, and break back. And I'm like, dude, you could fall backwards and land on the bag. And what the old rule was, and look, I wasn't ever that fast. I was pretty quick, but not, you know, I couldn't run. But our rule was that ball hits the ground or gets away from the catcher. If it gets out of the dirt, which means if it gets to the grass, you better score. And I'm sitting there watching. This guy could outrun me, I guarantee you, easily when I played. But he wasn't going to score unless the ball went all the way to the backstop.
Wow.
And I'm just but the coach, and it was sad, Delino DeShields was standing 5 feet from him, not saying a word. And it's, but see, I think I don't know. It's frustrating. You can call me an old grumpy old fart ball player if you want to. They may be bigger, faster, and stronger, but they ain't better baseball players.
No, they're not smarter. There's no instinct anymore. They don't know situational ball, which the great Vince Lombardi said, football is as much situation as action, if not more. So, you have to know when we talk about fundamentals and situational baseball,
Yes.
you got to balance those two. You have to go over every situation. And in baseball, it might even be more situational than football, because baseball has more different scenarios, I think, that can come up. So, yeah, the smarter you are in baseball, then the better.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I was watching FSU in the postseason, and their base running was just horrendous.
If they could
Horrendous.
Even run. Did you see him go around third base and fall down?
Yeah.
No,
go ahead.
Greg, you also know that base running, you have to practice that. And when you're rounding third base or any base, you have to lower that inside shoulder, really get that body lean inside, and turn the corner. Every step makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one of the things, and I tell people this. Look, if it weren't for the little things in baseball making you so much better, I'd have never made it. Never. Right. Because I had to know those things. It's like I tell people, I go, I'll talk to young players. I go, when you go up to at bat, do you know what hand the left fielder and right fielder throw with? And they'll literally look at me, well, why would I need to know that? And I said, well, that's a perfect case where you might be faster than me, but I'm going to stretch a single into a double on possibly the same ball you hit because you don't know that.
Right.
And what I tell them, if I hit a ball down the left field line, I already know whether that left fielder is a right-hander or left-handed left fielder. If he's left-handed on a borderline play, if I'm not sure, I may take second, because the left-handed left fielder's got to catch that ball, spin all the way around, throw. A right-hander just catches it. He's got the play right in front of him. It's a lot easier for him to make an accurate throw. And I go, you round that base and stop. I round that base and take a double. Now all the scouts or coaches are going, wow, he's not that fast. But and it's funny, they used to tell me I had good baseball speed. And I'm like, but
that means quickness. You had good quickness.
Well, I did, but yeah, it's like Mark just said, though, if you know how to run the bases and you take good turns,
yes,
and use the base to push off.
Yes, thank you.
The fast guys just run and hit it and just take. Now, a lot of them could still outrun me on the bases, but guys that were just a step or two faster than me, when they would time us on the bases, they weren't. Now, in a straight sprint, they could outrun me easy.
Right.
But that's the difference with baseball.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're right about that. Quickness. I was quick as well. I wasn't real fast, the 4 or 5 guys. So there are a lot of guys faster than me, but I was quick that first 10 steps, the first, few steps. And that's what really matters in most sports, whether it's basketball, baseball, or football. It's that first step, that first jump that gets you there, 0 to 10. Gosh, Greggy, man, we could go on for a long time and talk baseball, man. I think you're the most you're the guest that's appeared most on my show. So for that, I thank you.
Anytime, Coach. I love being on with you guys. Who is that?
There he is. There's
a 1989 card. I just want to say, Coach, I saw the guy in San Francisco hit a triple off of Mitch Williams? He hit a triple off of the guy, comes off the bench. It's about 5 degrees out there in the middle of June. Yeah. And the guy comes up and hits a rope off of the guy.
Hey, Greg, we got to tell Greg, he was 3 for 6 in the 89 World Series, man. He was in the zone with a 2-run shot in Game 4 against Gene Nelson. But I also want to. Do you remember this grand slam home run in the 13th inning on the Reds in October 4th, 1992?
Yeah, that was my last at bat with the Giants.
Oh, was it really?
And it was supposed to be the last game of the San Francisco Giants. And a funny story with that is we're playing that game, and well, they were supposed to be moving the Giants to Tampa Bay. And because Bob Lurie had tried and tried and tried to get San Francisco to yeah, and I don't remember all the details why it didn't work out, but it doesn't matter. But they were set that, we ended that season thinking the team was leaving for Tampa Bay.
Wow.
And so we're playing in Cincinnati, and I still remember the exact at bat. It's bases loaded. Actually, I don't remember how many outs. It wasn't 2 outs. It was 1 or 0 outs, because when I step up there, this was going to be Roger Craig's last game too. And well, the third base coach, with the bases loaded, Roger, late the last year or two, he was letting the pressure of us trying to win to keep his job affect his managing. And well, the third base coach puts a squeeze on and then wipes it off. And basically what that was meaning was, pay attention. If the count gets to the right, that Roger's going to put the squeeze on. And the first pitch was just like a knee high, right on the outside corner fastball strike. And I think it was Bruce Ruffin, Scott Ruffin, I think, pitching. And so now I'm like, I was actually happy, because I was like, I don't know. I may have stepped out or something, but I was like, I am not squeezing. That's just dumb. And then the next pitch he throws is like a slider on the outside corner, knee high. Now it's 0-2. And I stepped out of the box and I go, well, at least I don't have to squeeze. And I worked the count to full count.
Whoa.
And he threw me a curveball. And I always hit curves pretty well. I grew up with my dad and facing my brother Brent throwing curves and batting practice. And so I loved hitting curveballs. And so I hit it, and it was funny. I was running to first base, and I still remember Corey Snyder was on first. Well, he ran back to the bag like they was going to tag up, and I'm running to first, and I'm like, dude, get your butt going. I said, that ball's gone.
That ball's gone.
So, but the funny thing after the game, though, the ESPN reporters got a big kick, because I was doing an interview, and they asked me, it was like, man, basically everybody thought that was a historic home run for the Giants. Last game, as I hit a grand slam to win the last game of the San Francisco Giants. Yes. And they asked me, was that feel like? And I said, well, I guess now that they're thinking about it, it wasn't, we didn't think it was 100%, but it looked like they were going to leave. And I remember telling them, I said, if that's the last game as the San Francisco Giants, I said, yeah, that'll be pretty cool, And I said, if they end up going back to San Francisco, I hit a grand slam to win the last game of the season. Big deal, and they started laughing. And I said, it's not like that put us into playoffs or anything.
Right.
I said, we're still going to get on the plane and go home either way. And
oh my gosh.
That night on ESPN, they got a big kick out. But that's more my nature. I'm not like these new players that they do something good, they got to jump up and down, do their home run dance or whatever.
It's crazy. They got a brand, they got a thing, man.
Yeah,
it's all about money, man, and their brand.
Yeah, my brand wouldn't have made much.
I don't know what company it would have represented, but. All right, Greggy, thanks so much, man. What a joy it is to visit with you again, man. It's been a while. Well, maybe a couple times a year to come on.
Well, hey, we usually do it around playoff time. That's about when I start watching. And if the Giants are in, obviously I'm pulling for them.
Yeah.
If they're not, I'm pulling for the Dodgers to get beat, and then I'm happy.
Pulling for the Dodgers to get beat.
All right.
Love
it, buddy. All right, man. Talk to you soon, bud. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Greg.
My pleasure. Love you guys.
Love you too, bud. See you. Yeah, what a joy he is. Huh?
Wow.
Man, that's awesome.
That's huge. There,
yeah,
folks. Y'all see that right there? That's 1989, baby.
There's lit right there.
1989 card right there. Played in 89 World Series.
All right, folks. We got some special guests next week. Cornelius Bennett's going to join the show next week. A couple others. Biscuit. So everybody have a great sports weekend, everybody. We will talk to you soon. So long.
There's a reason why Hill Kelly in Pensacola is the #1 selling Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer between Jacksonville and New Orleans. While other dealers have taken advantage of a competitive market with higher prices, Hill Kelly has discounted prices to the lowest of the year. And Hill Kelly in Pensacola won't surprise you with excessive charges beyond the selling price. Come see why people from Milton, Pace, Foley, Bay Minette, Daphne, Gulf Shores, Mobile, and beyond are driving to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to buy their next new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. At Hill Kelly, the bottom line price and your satisfaction are what really matter. So before you sign, check the bottom line and make the trip to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to see what true local ownership can do for you. At Hill Kelly Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Highway 29 in Car City, Pensacola. Or shop online 24/7 at hillkellydodge.com. When it comes to bottom line pricing, nobody beats a Hill Kelly deal. Nobody.
Drive a little to save a lot on 170 Buicks and GMCs at Step 1 Buick GMC. Get savings up to $4,000 on new Buick Encores, $9,450 on new Buick Envisions, $7,000 on new GMC Yukon XLs, or up to $15,345 off on new Sierras. Only at Step 1 Buick GMC, Pensacola. Plus tax, tag, title, license, dealer processing fee expires 7/31/24 on select new 24 in-stock models. Discount off MSRP includes all incentives.
That's you trying to fix the plumbing yourself to save a few bucks. Doing things yourself doesn't always end well. The same goes for insurance. That's why Auto Owners works with local independent agents who tailor coverage to meet your needs and offer discounts for life, home, car, and business insurance. Because sometimes you need a professional to get the job done right. That's simple human sense.
Are you riding around in a filthy vehicle? Dirty car no more. Visit Ronnie's Car Wash today to get it shining in no time. They have 3 convenient locations with another coming soon. The unlimited monthly wash packages start as low as $14.95 per month with free vacuums, multi-purpose spray, and towels. Visit them in Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Fort Walton, and soon Crestview. Don't wait, wash today. Be sure to see Ronnie's Car Wash on Facebook to see the latest specials and discounts. You'll be riding and shining in no time.
75 years of service in high tech today. It's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348. High tech is a term often applied to advanced services and products in today's marketplace. And today, glass is much more than a simple painted brittle, see-through stuff we hit baseballs through when we were kids. Glass is now a product with unique flexibility in both performance and application. And Pensacola Glass Company is growing right along. That's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348.
Barnes Heating and Air is a proud sponsor of Alabama football, serving the entire Pensacola community for over 50 years. Barnes Heating and Air is passionate about providing customers with world-class air conditioning and heating repairs, sales, and installation. Barnes Heating and Air is family-owned, insured, and committed to quality. For a free estimate, call 478-0141. Barnes Heating and Air is #1 in customer service with service calls 7 days a week. Call Barnes Heating and Air 478-0141 and roll Tide.